All right, welcome everybody. We all get to take a little breath of relief. It's always a little frantic when people are joining Zoom for the first time. I'm glad that you all made it because we have about 15 people who were not here on Tuesday. So I'm going to start with some of the basics again, just to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into and what to look forward to here. So this is going to be a class today on learning how to move more comfortably and easily. And each of these classes is going to focus on one particular common movement pattern, but we're really working on learn how to move easier, because there are some general principles that will help you do everything a little bit easier. That's my goal, is so that as it feels like Parkinson's nibbles away at things, that you are building your skill. And Feldenkrais is a very gentle learning form that's focused on your brain learning, because it's our brain that controls our body. So because it's focused on your brain rather than on the body per se, it's really important that you're comfortable the whole time that you're in the lesson. So when I ask you to do things, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Do it slower, do it smaller, and raise your hand and ask for help. Or I have, because there are a lot of us here, I have 3 screens of people I see, so I can't see everybody at once. You can just unmute yourself and ask a question. For those of you who are new to Zoom, down in the very bottom corner, if you move your mouse down there, go ahead and try this now. You'll see that there's a mute or unmute button and a stop video button. Know that you can unmute yourself at any time to ask a question, and stop video if you want a moment of privacy. Okay, everybody finding those on your screen? Great.
I found it.
Found it? Okay, good. Okay, so ground rules. Don't do something that doesn't feel good. Feel free to ask questions at any point. And what we're going to practice today is doing things as easily as possible. So put your hand, if there's a desk in front of you, put your hand on your desk. If not, put your hand on your thigh. And lift your index finger. And feel how easy that is to lift your index finger. Okay. That's the range of ease that we're looking for in all the movements in the class today. And we're going to do some work on making it easier to stand up and sit down again. And in order to do that, I'd like you to do what I call a measurement move, which is to stand up and sit down and feel, is it as easy as lifting your finger? So everybody go ahead and stand up. And sit down. Okay, and was that as easy as lifting your finger, or did it feel like a little bit more work? And I'll ask you these questions and you don't need to answer them out loud, but the process of answering them is how your brain learns how to move differently. So let's do one more measurement move before we start, and then we'll compare this at the end. As you're sitting there, come to the front of your chair. And lift one leg and put it down. And then lift the other leg and put it down. Does one of them feel easier than the other? Does one feel just a little lighter, a little easier to get off the ground? And with that lighter leg, when you lift it, where does it feel like work? What part of you goes, oh my gosh, if we were going to do this for an hour, I'd be in the wrong class? Where do you sense that? Okay. We're going to work with the easier side first. I'm torn in that I'm getting phone calls pretty continuously with people trying to join. Mira, could I text you their number?
Yes, please.
Just okay. So excuse me, everybody. It'll just take me a sec. Okay, great. Now Mira can work on getting those two people in. So we always work with the easy side first because our brain learns more easily on our easy side. So I want you to interlace your fingers for a moment, okay? And then take your interlaced fingers and put them underneath your thigh as close to your knee as you can get on your easy side, the leg that was easier to lift. Okay? And then lean back in your chair. This is why you're at the front of your chair. Yeah. And when you lean back, the effort of leaning back makes it so your arms don't have to do any work. So your elbows can stay straight and you're just leaning, rocking back in your chair. And do it many times, just gently. And each time you rock back in your chair, lean in a little different direction. So you can imagine you were sitting on a sundial and you wanted to, with your bottom, rock over each number on the sundial. Good, and put your leg down again. And then lift your leg again. See if it got any easier. Okay. And take your hand on the side that you're working that leg and put your hand under your sit bone. And tip a little forward and backward so that you can feel how you can go behind your sit bone. Your sit bone goes behind your hand, in front of your hand. And then this time you're going to interlace your fingers the other way. So if you look at your fingers, there'll be one thumb on top. Interlace them so that the other thumb's on top. And then do that interlace the funny way. Feels really weird under your same knee. And tip yourself back in your chair with your arms just straight and relaxed. And think about trying to do it as easily as you lift your finger because you're counterbalancing. This is one of the core principles of movement, that if you counterbalance, you become light as a feather. And we counteract gravity by counterbalance. And put your leg down. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you have a very long nose. And this next time when you pick up your leg, after you tip back, bring your nose as close to your knee as you can get it. So I think of myself as like Pinocchio with a long nose, and I'm scratching my itchy nose on my knee, or wiping my dripping nose with my knee. So this is going to be hard if you don't start by leaning back. You want to lean back far enough that your leg feels light, and then bring your nose to your knee. Still use your fingers under your hand to help, and they connect your shoulders to your knee. And you'll find if you tip back even a little bit further in your chair, your knee will lift a little easier. And lift it and put it down. And feel as you're doing that, how your ribs in the front of yourself compress a little bit. Okay, everybody take a break from the leg for a moment. And look down as if you wanted to look at the floor. Okay, and come back up. And this time, imagine somebody's holding your pants in the back and they pull your waist backward as you look down, so that all these ribs in the front compress and the ribs in the back get big. Yeah. So your pelvis will roll a little bit. You pull your belly in as you look down, and pulling your belly in, your arms can squeeze together a little. There you go. Okay. Now interlace under your foot again, under your knee, same side. Lean back in your chair, and then bring your head forward toward your knee with that same feeling of rounding in your torso. Good. And put your leg down. So I see some of you not doing the leaning back, and that's going to make this whole thing a lot harder. So make sure you're sitting way out in the front of your chair. The further forward you sit in the chair, then you have room as you tip backward for your back to go back, and then the knee comes up easily. Yeah, that's it. So you lift your knee, and this time pretend your knee has a story to tell you, and turn one ear toward it so your knee is telling you something. And then try it again with the other ear. Maybe that ear hears better today. And then scratch your forehead. I know that our heads and our knees don't touch each other, so scratch your forehead on your knee for a moment. Okay, good. And then put your foot down. And now just try lifting your foot. And see, has it gotten a little easier to lift that leg? This is my favorite quick diet trick. It's like I suddenly feel like I've lost 50 pounds and that leg just floats up a little bit. Okay. Now lift it up like that and drop it on the ground. So it makes a little bit of a whoomp when it lands. And when you lift it up, you tip back a little, and then when you drop it, feel how your body comes forward a little bit. See if you can find that it's almost like you're a seesaw. You can hold on to your knee a little bit to really feel that seesaw rocking back and forth motion. So one of the easiest ways to come up to standing is to rock back like that. And as you put your foot down, stand up on it. Give that a try. You get a little momentum from that rock backwards, then you put the foot down. And the further your face comes forward as you come up, the easier it's going to be. All right, everybody stop for a moment. And raise your hand if you feel like that's getting it a little easier than usual for standing up. Okay. Yeah, a little closer to this finger easy. May not be there yet. I have to share a story for a moment. The very first client I had when I finished my training as a Feldenkrais practitioner was a man with Parkinson's. And he came to me because he wanted to be able to pick his raspberries, but when he tried to reach forward to pick, he would fall into the raspberries. And he was like, I know there's got to be a way I can pick my raspberries. And we worked on a lesson like this one today on counterbalancing so that he could find what had to go forward and what had to go backward to safely pick the raspberries, which is a lot like getting up and down from a chair. And it was great, but then he canceled his next few meetings with me. And when he came back, I asked, you know, what happened? He said, well, you taught me how to counterbalance, so I decided to paint my house. And kind of like, okay. But this counterbalance idea we're playing with is the most important skill that you have to maintain mobility. Because when some of the movements don't happen automatically in your body because of the Parkinson's, you can remind yourself, oh yes, I can counterbalance myself. And that counterbalance will help you figure out how to do the motion that you want to do. So I want you to go back this time with the same hand and find that same sit bone again underneath you. Because your sit bones are your biggest counterbalance tool. We spend a lot of time sitting, so we've got to know how to use those sit bones well. And tip yourself forward and backward. And just feel how you go back in behind the sit bone, in front of the sit bone, and try and go a little to the left of the sit bone and a little to the right of the sit bone. And of course, if you're on one of those really hard chairs, take your hand out when you need to, okay? And now take your hand, everybody take your hand out, and tip a little forward and a little backward, and see if you can feel your sit bone moving on the chair. And now experiment with where you initiate the movement. So you could initiate the movement from your sit bone, where you move your sit bone and your pelvis, and that takes your head forward and back. You could also initiate it through your foot. You could push with that foot and that takes you back, or you could kind of pull with the foot and it takes you forward. You could think of initiating it with your shoulders. You could bring your shoulders forward or take your shoulders backward. And which of those feels the strongest? Which one makes you feel like you're really moving forward and back? And you could experiment thinking about moving from different parts of your body just to see which lets you feel strong and powerful. Okay, good. So now try again to come up by lifting your leg in the air, and as you put it down, come right up to standing. So there's this sense that the sit bone pushes backward a little bit as you come up. Okay. So we're going to use our sit bone and our upper body as counterbalances. So I want you to put your arms right out in front of you and reach out like you wanted to tickle somebody you see on the screen. So you're reaching your arms forward and tickling. Good. And come back. And now you really want to tickle them, but your bottom is in your chair. So leave your bottom in your chair and push your bottom backwards a little as you tickle in front of you. Good. So then lift this leg again, put it down, and as you put it down and stand up, reach in front to tickle. And then as you go to sit down, reach in front and come to sit down. And stand up again. And as you reach to go back, do you find yourself reaching with the bum on the side we were lifting the leg? That side of you can reach back a little further and touch your chair. Our goal is to touch the chair so lightly that it feels like you're kissing the chair, that it's just your bottom touches the chair and you could pop back up again. Okay, good. And now lift that leg again and see what it's like to feel like you're lifting that leg. It almost kind of pops up there and wants to punch you in the face, just gotten a little easier. Okay. Now come on up to standing one more time. And notice if you're standing more on one leg than the other. If you're feeling just a little bit like one side, if I said stand on one foot, you go, well, maybe I'd consider standing on that one. If one foot feels more connected to the ground, more secure on the ground. You could experiment. If standing on one foot is too much, leave the other foot down as a kickstand, but just shift your weight and feel if your weight is on one side more than the other. And then have a seat. By making ourselves feel a little asymmetric like we've just done, it gets the brain interested in, wow, how is it possible that one side of me feels more stable, more secure, more, perhaps even more calm inside? And then our brain can do the work of helping to translate that to the other side. So raise your hand if you're feeling a little asymmetric right now, that one side is more comfortable. And if you had to take just one side of you home after this class, you know, which side feels a little nicer? Okay. So should we even ourselves out? Yeah, okay. So take your other hand and put it under your sit bone. And move around a little just to feel the shape of your sit bone. The sit bone is, I'm always surprised at how big it is. I was teaching one class and somebody said, you know, I made it to 84 years old and I didn't know I have a sit bone. And this knowing that the sit bone is there and that it's your source of power, especially when you're sitting down, it's what lets you move. It's what lets you be mobile. And go a little left and right. And feel, how do you do that? How do you shift your weight around that sit bone? Okay, and take your hand out. And then see if just that made you feel a little better on that side, if you already feel just a little bit more symmetric. Yeah. So know that your sit bones are always with you. And if you're having one of those days where you feel kind of unstable in your chair, sit and move around your sit bone with your hand, and then you'll begin to feel more grounded. Now, interlace your fingers again under the second leg and find your counterbalance. Again, you have to be at the front of your chair in order to find this. And you're going to tip backwards. And you're going to tip back at a different angle each time. You want your elbows to be straight. So there shouldn't be any work in your shoulders at all. It's more like somebody tied a rope to your leg, and when you move your back, your leg moves. Good. And then tip back. And if you're tipped back far enough, your leg becomes light as a feather and it can come a little closer to your nose. If it feels heavy to do that, try tipping back more, tipping way, 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 way back. And then the knee is coming up surprisingly high. I can see it in for some of you. Yeah, and then imagine you're Pinocchio and you want to scratch your nose on your knee, rub your knee on your nose, wipe the sweat off your forehead, listen to your knee a little bit, and then put it down. Now remember that funny interlace we did where the other thumb was on top? Go ahead and do the funny interlace, the weird one, under this leg. Lean back, lift the knee again. And it's as if your knee was a washcloth and you wanted to wash your whole face with it. You just kind of be a little silly. Feel how your ribs move as different parts of your face aim at your knee. Good. And put this leg down. And then lift your knee and just see, did it get a little easier? Okay, and lift the knee and drop it. And do that, make a whoomp. And then lift the knee and drop it right as you pop up. So there's this timing of the drop pop. Okay. Good. And then sit down for a moment. And this time, find a way to lift both knees. And I see some faces looking at me like, what? If you're at the front of your chair and if you lean back, you'll find you can lift both knees. And you lift both knees and drop them together, and then you can pop up. And if lifting both at once doesn't work for you, feel free to just keep doing one at a time. But if you lift both and pop, okay, good. Now reach forward again, as if you wanted to tickle somebody in front of you. Yeah. And tickle up toward one corner of the screen, tickle up toward another corner, toward the bottom. Good. And now as you stand up, so you're gonna lift your knees, put them down, and then reach forward to tickle in front of you. And on the way back down, keep tickling, reaching forward with your fingers, reaching your bottom backwards, 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 backwards. And it becomes like a little squat. And then you end with your bottom very gently touching your chair. Because the more you can set yourself down gently, the less wear and tear there is on your body, and the more able you are to get back up. So keep playing with this. You could do the one leg lift or the two leg, but the reaching forward with your hands and reaching your sit bones back. You could even imagine you wanted to moon somebody behind you. You're really sticking your bottom out there. It's one of the joys of being at home. We don't have to worry about what's going on with people watching there. Yeah. And then when you go down, keep reaching so that you can do it slower and slower and slower and slower, and it becomes very gentle to sit yourself down. I think this is and then just sit down for a moment. This is one of the most fundamental skills, especially when we're all stuck at home, because it's really easy to just sit down in the chair in the morning and stay there all day. And this ability to get up. And if you lift one leg and put it down and get up, you're ready for something on that side of the room. If you lift the other leg and get up, you're ready for something over there. And so practice a few times getting up to the left and getting up to the right. where you lift a leg, drop it and pop, and reach for something. You know, there's something fun to do over there. Great, I'm gonna go do it. There's something fun to do over here. Yes, there we go. Beautiful. All righty. So raise your hand if you found that this has been helping you stand up more easily. Okay, good. And how'd you do today at keeping yourself comfortable as you were in the lesson? Everybody stay within their realm of comfort? Okay, good. That is a very important skill. What I would like to do next, well, actually, before I do that, just come to the front of your chair one more time. And how balanced do you feel left and right now? You might feel a little more symmetric than usual, where you can feel weight on both sit bones. And come up to standing again. And see now if you're standing more evenly on your 2 feet. And I want to just introduce an idea that we're going to play with in the next section. Come back up to standing for a sec. And see if you can find your sit bones in standing. And you could find them with your hands. It's a little harder to find them when you're standing, but just because we've been paying so much attention to them, you can find them. And when you shift your weight from side to side, feel how your sit bones move left and right. This is the key for walking and balance, is being able to organize your upper body so your sit bones move a little left and right. And it's also the key to getting unstuck if you have troubles with freezing. We're gonna play with some walking motions next time. Oh, and I get so excited, my mind goes racing and I have to pull it back a little. Notice how you're feeling emotionally right now, whether your sense of being present and being calm are different than they were at the beginning. I just noticed a question in the chat and I want to address it. The question is, wondering why we hold our hands out when sitting down. My natural response is to reach back. It's a great question. If you reach back, go ahead and reach back to the back of your chair and feel how your weight shifts behind you. When we want to stand up, the basic physics is that you've got to get half of your mass in front of your feet. And if you lean back, you end up kind of getting stuck. But if you take your upper body forward, go ahead and tilt forward. Feel how your weight goes into your feet. And our body has this response that if you can get enough weight into the feet, then our body can just unfold. So the forward is the physics of, to be balanced when you stand up, you've got to be half in front of yourself, half in back. When we keep our weight back, we're much more likely to fall over backwards, which is the worst thing because there's no way to protect your head when that happens. So, but it's just the physics of standing. What I'm going to do now is to divide us up into what are called breakout rooms. Now I'm going to put 4 people in each room. And I'd like you to introduce yourself, say where you live, say whether you're doing the stay-at-home thing on your own or if there's other people with you, and to talk a little bit about your experience of this week and last week. And then I have one very specific request, which is if you find a particular movement in your life challenging, I'd like to know what it is, so that I make sure that I do the classes so that we work on those movements. So you'll have, oh, it's already 11:13. I'll give you 5 minutes in the room. We'll start this conversation. We'll do this again each time. If you need to leave because we're at the official end time, go for it. But if you'd like a few minutes of social time, stay. And otherwise, I will, if you're leaving now, I'll see you next Tuesday while we work on standing and walking related things. And now just hang tight and I'll divide you into rooms.
And I would also like to request for folks that need to leave right at 11:15, if you could just take a moment to go into the chat box and to put your name, email, and zip code if you haven't already. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so you should start seeing a message to join a breakout room. So there should be for those of you who are still in the big room, there should be a little prompt and you say, okay, to go into your breakout room.
The host has unmuted all participants. From iPad.
So for those of you who are in the big room, do you see the prompt that says join your breakout room? I know this new technology. I was like, what are they asking me to do? It'll just pop you into a small room with 3 or 4 other people to chat with.
To chat, I don't know whether I use voice or.
Oh, use voice. Use voice once you're in your little room.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can.
So there are about 9 of us left in the big room, and hopefully there's a prompt on your screen to join a smaller room. And if not, we can just have a conversation with us, but it's nicer to have fewer people in a room so they actually can talk to each other.
Thank you for trying, Randy. You did a good job. You did.
Hi guys, you asked for help? Oh, whoops. Wait a sec. Let me see if I can unmute you. I think for the woman in the purple shirt, you need.
Yes, that's.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm not seeing any other people.
Kathy, are you there?
There are 2 Kathys. So.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the person in the purple shirt, you can rename yourself so your name isn't iPhone. It would be helpful.
Oh, it's Marcia.
Marcia.
Sorry,
Okay. Thanks, Marcia.
I did that last time, I thought.
So Marcia and Kathy, you were in the room together and you can talk. Kathy, I don't know if you can turn your video on. And
Video is connected to the television, so we can't do that.
okay, so you guys can talk, but just not see each other.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hello, how are you guys?
So I'm back in the main session. These are folks who haven't figured out how to join their breakout room, which is fine.
Okay.
if you can, there's a little button to join other people. There are a few rooms with just 2 people in them going, we want some company.
I do. Where's
Um,
Everybody's doing the same thing. Nobody knows how to do it.
I know, it's
I'm gonna
new.
hang up.
That's what the lovely thing that we have 10 classes. So if we don't figure it out today, we'll get it by the next time. So do you see a little prompt about a breakout room on your screen?
oh,
Do you,
okay.
John?
What?
Do you see a prompt for the breakout screen?
Yeah,
She wants you to enter there.
okay.
I'm in breakout room number 6.
Okay, and there's a place to click OK or join.
Yeah.
Irene, I don't think anyone's in my breakout room.
Let's see. Yeah, breakout room 11 has nobody in it right now.
7.
7, okay, let's see if I can move you. Move to, okay, Jordan, I'm moving you to room 6.
Okay.
Let me see if there's any other, let's see if I can move some of you who haven't figured out how to do it. I just have to find you. This is fun. Jordan, I'm gonna move to 6. And Jordan, you still have to join. Did you get a thing to?
Oh, yes, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Marianne, I'm moving you to room 4. And let's see if I can find Greg. Greg, I'm moving you to room 12.
Thank
CP, I'm moving you to room 10. And John, it didn't, let's see if I can move you into room 6, or I'll move you into room 8.
So we're in room 6.
Okay.
I'm trying, you have to, I think you still have to click a join button if you see one.
I don't see a join button.
What about the upper left-hand corner?
No.
Greg and CP, I'm still working on you guys.
Recording.
What was your question?
Well, maybe since there's just the 4 of us left in this one, introduce yourself. I don't know, CP and Greg, is your video available so that we can see you?
I'm not sure how I would do that.
Okay, fair. I'm just looking to see. So I just sent a question, and then I think it'll let you say yes.
I can see okay.
Yeah, click OK. And Greg, there you are. Yay. Nice to see your face. And CP, I just sent the same to you. And John, is there a way you can adjust your computer so we can see your face? And there's Cindy.
I don't know. I'll try.
Oh. Cindy, can we see your video instead of your lovely picture?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I did want to make a comment.
Uh-huh.
I was diagnosed 15 years ago, so I probably am at a different point, but my movement gets really stuck. So when I sit on my sit bones, like, they don't move. And then finally I feel that, oh, they roll. I can't get left to right, but what I am starting to feel is like I'm balanced in other directions. And that is something I grapple with. That's why I have hip pain and why I'm rotated. And so I want to keep doing that. Kind of learning how to get the whole pelvis aligned so I'm not like this.
Yes, 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 yes. Getting your pelvis alive is going to make all the difference for you.
It's what I try all the time, but it's I try to do it through strengthening and stretching, but it's really moving.
It's an ongoing battle because the Parkinson's is pulling away at the ability. But this Feldenkrais, this paying attention to the sensations in your body, and to knowing the anatomy underneath helps.
I've never felt bones before. I mean, I always try. I do, yoga. Renee, who does the yoga. She's a very dear friend of mine. Because she started over here. We were both diagnosed at the same time. And we always sit on our sit bones, but I actually have never really sat on them with my hands. And when I do that, it gives feedback. Oh, that's left to right,
Yeah.
Timer. Anyway, so I hope to keep working on that because I do have excruciating pain every morning when I get out of bed and it lasts for hours until I can get it kind of, moving again.
And we'll talk in these classes about some things you can do in bed to help get yourself mobile enough to get out of bed and to reduce the pain in bed. Because we get pain in bed when our body doesn't do the involuntary little movements to adjust to the bed, and we stay in one position for a long time. And the more you can get ribs.
The more they medicate me for this, the more I do sleep soundly, but I wake up in the exact same position. I mean, I've had facet blocks and, and of course the discs are all degenerated in my lower spine, but it has been so bad that for the last 2.5 months, I haven't exercised, which I've never done for more than a day. So I'm really trying to get myself back. And this is really important. This is important stuff.
Great. Yeah.
I think the longer you have this, your body forgets how to move. It's like, oh.
Yes, it forgets, but you have the skill to relearn. And I can see that by the way you're responding. I'm just going to do something to bring people back from the breakout rooms.
Okay.
Back.
Okay, back in the main session.
Yeah, and everybody else will be joining within a minute.
They got to remember to see that darn red thing.
I'm gonna leave.
Bye-bye.
Bye for those who are leaving.
Bye.
And,
Nice to meet you all.
look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. For those of you who had a hard time and you're joining today, I'm sure it'll go easier next week. And this is, welcome back, everybody. I'll wait just another moment as people are popping back in.
It didn't seem like the audio worked in the chat in the small room.
So if there's audio problems in your small room, it's probably
It seems like
somebody might be muted. And if you need help in your small room, there's a button that says ask host for help, and I'll pop in and help you.
We had a hard time finding ourselves, but at some point we pushed a button.
Yeah, we're back in the big room.
This is it. Oh, this is wonderful.
I know, I find it so nice to see other faces. I get so stir crazy in my place. But that's why we're going to have some of this breakout time in every class, just as a chance to talk to each other. It'll go smoother each class as we all learn this tool for connecting.
not everyone's mic works the same way. There we go.
Yeah.
User
I would say not user error, user inexperience. We'll get more experienced.
Good. I like
Yeah. But if you get in a breakout room and need help. Sandra, you don't look like Sandra, but you're labeled as Sandra. You're raising your hand there. Do you have a question?
Yes, I still haven't found the
Oh, sit bone.
sit bone.
Oh, I can help you.
Okay.
Sit
Is that your wife there?
Yeah, this is a secret. That's
Okay.
Dale.
You're allowed to help him find a sit bone.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah, you'll find it together afterwards. It does help if you're sitting on a harder chair, like if you have a dining room chair that's made of wood or a stool, a piano bench, those kinds of things can help, especially if you're in a really soft chair, it's a little harder to find.
Yeah, I'll help him.
Okay.
I won't.
We better not watch.
Keith,
No,
do you have a question there?
Also, we didn't do the sign in.
I can't find the chat thing.
Down at the bottom of your screen.
No,
there's.
I don't think so. The problem, I think my screen's too small because this is a tablet, and all I have are little dots at the bottom.
If you click those little dots, does a menu come up?
There's chat.
Peter, read it, Jim. John Peter.
Maybe it's top of your screen too.
No.
What?
If not, how about tell it verbally to Jordan and she can write it down.
You just mentioned your name. I have a question. I'm trying very hard. I thought I had already signed up and you didn't say I could. So I don't know if I can figure it out again.
For signing up?
Yes, for signing up. You know, I successfully got the number, so I think I'm signed up.
Caroline,
Did you resign every week?
I signed up for today. Should I sign for every week?
So there's a class every Tuesday and Thursday until the end of April. So Caroline, what's your last name?
The question is, I have to go through Eventbrite every time.
Yes. So for Eventbrite, there should be a listing, and you can select which dates for the classes you wish to attend.
Okay, good. My last name is Spaton.
I have a question about sitting.
Okay.
Like, is there any tips on just sitting when we're just sitting so we're more comfortable and not, I don't know, I'm always uncomfortable sitting.
Yes. And we'll work on that in a lesson. But the basic thing about sitting is that you want the force to go straight into your sit bones. So if you want to be sitting on something relatively hard with your knees wide and your feet flat, and then you can play with where your shoulders are in terms of being over your sit bones. And there's a sweet spot in there where when you're just balanced right over your sit bones, it's as effortless as lifting your finger. But
So I probably Goldilocks, too hard and too soft. Cheers.
Yeah, play Goldilocks. Go a little forward, a little left and right until you find the place where, it feels better there.
Yeah, maybe add padding to a hard chair or something to a soft one. Yeah.
But the big thing is that if you're behind your sit bones, your muscles are working hard. If you're off one side of your sit bones, your muscles are working hard. But if you're perfectly centered, then you're not working. You don't have to work so hard.
Right, and I come to the chair off center, and then I tend to go more in that direction.
The more we get the ribs able to move in all the directions that they can go, which will happen over time in these classes, you'll get more and more mobile there. It becomes easier to find that place that's not too far forward, not too far back.
It was exciting last week to know that ribs move.
Yes, yeah. And when our mental map changes like that, that's a pretty profound mental map change. And the ribs start to move, all movement gets easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get back to the sign up thing. I got a note from the Northwest Parkinson Foundation that listed 3 classes, one last Thursday or so, one today, or one last Tuesday, I guess, one today and one in the future. Is there more? I said there's more, and where do I find them?
Yeah, so on that, thank you for that question. On that Eventbrite page, when you register, it might not pull up all the classes. There might be a little arrow button that you have to push, and then it'll show all the classes on your screen.
I see, and so one could go to 2 or 3 or 5 or however many?
There's 10 of them all together. You can come to them all.
I got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then they aren't the same class.
They're all different.
I think somebody's at the front door.
And then we are recording each of these classes, and Jordan will be posting them on the Northwest Parkinson's website. And so if you have to miss a class, you can also go to the recording and do it at your own convenience.
Can we invite other people to the class?
Jordan?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please do. If you wouldn't mind sharing the Eventbrite link with them, or if you wanted to email me their information, then I can get them registered too.
I'm trying to get the information from my other class.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to get back to work.
Thanks for joining us. We've gone a little long today, and hopefully as we get better with the tool, then we won't have the futz around time in the beginning.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think this is a good time to end. I'll stay on for a few more minutes if anybody has any logistical questions, and otherwise we are officially done. I'm going to stop.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.